And we are live. Welcome to episode
603,041 and a half.
of the Clutch Kick. So I'm one of your hosts, EG, and in a very fancy looking studio. It's
Something like that.
Greg. It looks fancy. Doesn't matter what you say. It looks super fancy. I don't think I have any friends that have ceilings like that.
That's because I'm thinking Canberra was built after these houses were built.
It's embossed. Look at it. There's so much. Oh, anyway, it looks fancy.
Yeah, trust me, it's a bit like a drift car. Good from far, far from good. So, and plenty of cockroaches to come with it.
Okay.
But there's enough space for the car to not be on the trailer anymore, so that's been good.
Yeah. So, how is the new place? Got
Nah,
any
it's
new
good.
cars yet? More
Nah, no new,
cars?
no new cars yet. If anything, it's made me be like, should I be thinking about other cars, or should I think about being sensible to get out of here as soon as possible? So, I don't know. I don't know.
I think you should get a new car.
Yeah. Well, now that I guess we'll go straight into the news. Now that DCA's 2020's been like semi-announced, I guess. I think Luke's gone for more of the Dick Tease style than actually putting out any proper information. There was a post done by D1NZ and by DCA basically saying that the Pro Sport winner of D1NZ gets a drive over here at Cash Kings, and the winner of next season's DCA, which means that there is a season of DCA coming, gets a drive in Pro Sport over in New Zealand. So I guess we just wait and see more info on that. I don't even think you have a crazy amount of insider info on any of that. I think
No.
I've got more idea than you do
Yeah.
on on potentially what's going on. But I believe Luke's headed to the US with his family for a month and a half or something. So yeah, we'll wait and see what comes of that, because I don't think they're back till late Jan, early Feb.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I
Jesus.
think that's when he's talking about releasing more information. But I'm going to be the first to say that information probably needs to come out earlier. So hopefully that stuff comes out sooner than that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because I know a lot of the other series have they've either made announcements or they will make announcements very soon. Like it's usually done and dusted by the start of January.
well, I know that other series has started trying to do more and more of that because drivers were getting sick of finding out last minute what was going on. But um, look, their dates have come out, and that's another big stretch across the country. So I guess we wait and see what comes of that too. Uh, yeah. So yeah, Logan's saying you can't drift a house, but you can sleep in a drift car. Well, I've already got a drift car I can sleep in, so do I need to add another one? That's more the question. Um,
I think you do.
yeah, but then with something like DCA coming back again, do you go just a really mildly built SR20 S chassis of some variety? And I don't mean the motor even being built. I mean like stock motor pushing, just under 300 kilowatt, make it as light as possible, as basic as possible, and go compete in that, or do you go full race car? So I don't know. I don't know. Makes me almost think that the better option is to go something basic again.
Oh God.
Yeah, we might we might cover that topic that Jake's just brought up: consistent drifting versus driving on the limit. Well,
Do you want to do that now?
yeah, we can. Well, my thought
We'll be the
is,
first to cover it, I think.
yeah, let's be the first to cover it. Um, well, I think people have got to understand what the word consistent means. Let's look up the first definition of consistent that comes up on the internet.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so
Consistent.
Lewis quick search.
Yeah.
Um,
Acting or done in the same way over time. So,
Yep. So it's
so
pretty simple, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
believe that the event that we're talking about has been extremely consistent. It has been acting or done in the same way over time. It hasn't changed. So it's been consistent.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I still
Yeah.
don't get the original subject. So
Well, the original subject was to say, I think was aimed at saying how good the drivers were, but instead the word consistent was used. But you could,
yeah. Okay. Yep.
so this is where people use the wrong terminology. You need to add other words to the word consistent. Consistently good, consistently bad, consistently shit, consistently poor, consistently amazing, consistently broken, consistently fucked up. Like there's you know
Inconsistent. Yeah.
there's
Oh,
there's
that's one for Connor, actually.
so this is my point. Like so using the word consistent, probably not the smartest option, but in fairness, consistent. Um so yeah. Um so as for Jake's question, consistent drifting versus driving on the limit. Well, you can be shit at driving and be doing both. I think you were a witness to a situation like that over the weekend, weren't you, EG? Don't give me that look. You know
What?
exactly what I'm talking about.
No. Being sorry, you got to say that again. Being consistent versus driving on the
Driving
limit.
on the limit,
Consistently driving on the limit, or
yeah, or beyond somebody's actual limit,
yeah,
and how that ends.
yeah,
Yeah, do you understand
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. So
Can result
it,
in a red banana.
yeah. So that's
So again, this is just poor use of words.
yeah.
So pushing your own limit is fine as long as when you're pushing that limit,
I think too
you
much
know,
is implied in this.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's all right.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, look, when people are trying to beat each other's dicks to say how fantastic they are, I think they've got to just choose their words more wisely about what they're actually attempting to imply, because yeah, I think a lot of it can be well and truly lost. And yeah, I'm going to try and put down consistently good laps this weekend for you, EG. So maybe you can keep up with my fat turd. I know Jai's keen to twin with me, but I think the only twinning that I'm going to be doing this weekend is when people are behind me, because when I'm behind, I'm fucking slow.
Nah, you're pretty quick.
Nah, my car is fucking slow.
It's just on the straight. I think you lose on the top end,
Oh,
but
yeah, I forget we're going to Wakefield first. I think Wakefield I should be okay.
no, I reckon I reckon you do better at Moreland because the run up's less. That's
Yeah,
when you
but
get gapped. You get
I
gapped
get
at the start
I
at
get fucking
Wakefield.
I get fucking gapped anyway.
No,
So
no way. That thing's got some
I'm
go
running
off the line.
I'm running some big boy tires, but so
Two
hopefully
six
that'll make a
fives.
difference. Nah. 245 45s.
Okay.
So like big sidewalls.
What were you running before?
235 40s.
Okay. Hoping to get a bit more
Well, the car just sits better
legs
too, because
out
that's
of
what they're.
each gear.
Well, that's what they're. Well, that's the size size tire and wheel that those cars are supposed to run in the rear. So that's what they're factory with.
Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully that'll make a.
That might actually slow you down a bit
Yeah, maybe, but it
off
should.
the launch.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because
Just dump.
that's when I struggled to keep up with you was the launch. Like the initial takeoff is you're a lot quicker than me, and then you run out of puff like up near the top.
Yeah, that might just me be being a bitch. So, are you sorted for the weekend?
Almost
Which car are you bringing?
180s. Almost. Still my plan is to bring two cars, like one on the 180 on Saturday and the R32 on Sunday, but it's looking less and less likely that the 32 is going to make it on Sunday, so it might be 180 both days.
Did you end up getting the right water pump for the 180?
No. So good old spares box. Whatever. I haven't contacted them yet, but they have listed on their website because the way you can search through their website is you put in your car, and then you'll give you parts that are related to that car, and it says it's for a 180, which is runs the non-VCT engine, and they sent a S14, S15 pump, which still fits, but it doesn't fit in the casting as it should be designed. So the S14 pump is more of the impeller is in the water pump, where on the S13 the impeller is more in the block.
Yeah.
But it'll still seal up. I think everyone says it still works, but
What's your plan? Just
I
shove it
already
in
put
there.
the old pump. No, I put the old pump back in. There's nothing really wrong with it that I could see. It wasn't rusted out. It wasn't missing pins. The shape was a little bit different, but
well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
But I did do the multi-pass radiator with the help of Connor. So he put some aluminium pieces in the top and bottom of the radiator to make it multi-pass.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. That's probably actually a good test because that car that'd be the only thing I've changed with it, and if it actually works better, then it'd be identifiable mod rather than sort of making several changes and then not knowing if it actually made a difference or what made a difference.
Yeah, bring some thick gauge wire too, then we can always rewire your fans in case you're not getting enough volts.
No, that's getting heaps of volts.
Oh, is it? So yeah, they shouldn't have any issues then.
No, that one's each fan has 30 amps fused, so if it draws over 30 amps, then it'll blow a fuse, which it hasn't. So I think factory they draw 25 amps each, so it's a lot of current.
Well, yeah, hopefully you're sorted then. I think the weather's supposed to be fairly cool this weekend anyway, so.
Yeah, the rain sort of been pushed back to Monday.
Yeah, I think the weather got pushed back, thank God, but yeah, a bit of a chance for the middle of the day on Saturday, but Sunday looks pretty clear, so fingers crossed it all stays dry, especially from Rural, and I think Wakefield's not so bad. I don't think anybody will be too bummed if Wakefield's that wet, because most people will probably just take it easy that day anyway, because I think most people, especially the ones travelling from interstate, are more keen to hit Rural on Sunday, so.
Yeah, I wonder what Rural will be like when it's wet, because I've never been.
I'm not interested in finding out, to be honest. So. People seem to struggle to keep control of it while it's dry there, so.
Yeah, it's good and bad. I think it's a good sort of place to actually enforce your ability. So
reinforce, you mean?
Reinforce your ability. So to keep it within your range rather than Wakefield, which is very forgiving.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't even know if it started raining, what would the safest direction would be to run Marulan, to be honest.
Uphill.
Yeah, except when people end up fucking putting it in the fence in the first corner, so. Or into the blunt end of a fucking concrete wall.
Oh, did I send you the photo of Sebastian going up the wall, up the bank?
Yes. Or there's that one. Yeah, and there's that too.
Yeah.
So there's there's 3 hot spots in the fucking uphill section, almost 4, because if you continue to run wide coming out of the, so Spawn ran its first event at Marulin on the weekend, and you were down there for that.
Yep.
Were they running the left-hander over the top of the crest, or no? Because they had like a cone sitting in the middle of the track that was again along that concrete wall at the top of the crest.
Right at the top.
Yeah.
So I don't remember a cone. The cone was to the end of drifting was the end of that concrete wall, as in like when it finished. So you couldn't do
The left-hander down
the
the hill.
left-hander down when you come off the crest. Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit lame.
Yeah.
Why was that? Well, you didn't ask.
Well, I asked. It's just it's because their first event. They just wanted to because they had a few sort of incidents or near misses around there, so they just wanted to keep
Near
it safe.
misses or full-blown fucking hits?
Well, no, there was an incident and there was a couple of near misses.
Cool, but that wasn't really on that wall that early. It was, well, that late on that wall. That was super early on that wall. So.
I'm not talking about the uphill. It's after the wall, so it's where you start to go back downhill. There's another wall with like.
Yeah, there's another wall where the escape road. Well, there the like the recovery road is.
Yeah, so it's that one.
Yeah, I would imagine if it's wet, it's probably wise not to skid that corner. But in the dry, I think the Rev guys ended up putting cones to try and push you back away from the wall once you came through that left-hander. So. So.
No. Besides the first one, I think most of the other incidents were
minor
incidents. Yeah. They weren't that big. The first one's huge.
Yeah, just a big red banana. So
yeah.
That's I guess there was an incident where a car's hit the end of a concrete wall that's designed to run, I guess, the other direction, kind of. But I think that the track's sort of been designed to be run both ways. But look, there was an S13 written off because it middled the end of a wall, and like it had side intrusion bars and all that sort of stuff. Because
if it's just a Sylvia frame, then you definitely
got a broken hip.
Well, I think you'd go to hospital.
Well, if you've got a
big hit,
if you've got a broken hip, you go to fucking hospital.
Yeah.
Did you see the actual hit?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it wasn't a crazy amount of speed though.
He was going the fastest out of everyone there.
Okay.
Yeah, which makes sense why you're in that position. So.
Yeah, it's still fairly offline though.
Yeah, he's offline. Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty fast. Anyway.
Well.
Besides that, I don't think they actually did the other direction because I left towards the end of the day, but I don't think they actually ran the other direction.
Yeah, it clearly hasn't been watching Initial D because downhill is how you sort the men from the boys.
I think uphill is easier to get, and that's probably for their first day is probably a good thing to focus on that. Where downhill, you'd probably want a particular sort of group of people to sort of find a line because I think people still haven't found the line going downhill.
Nah, I had it, mate. I'm professional, and that's all right. This weekend, Jai will be out there. He might not make it out there by Sunday, but maybe we'll see how it's actually done.
Has he actually got his new car running?
Yeah, you clearly don't follow him on the grams.
No, I don't. Or do I? I don't know. I think no. Maybe I do follow him. I just don't look at Instagram.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't look at Dry shit either.
Because I did like after that sort of talk we had early in the year, I started following a whole bunch of people. But
and then there's too much shit to look at, so you don't bother.
Yeah. So I flicked through a couple of things and then I just get bored.
Yeah, that's extremely fair.
Yeah.
But I think from what I've seen, I'm pretty sus on whether or not he just went and stole my car from Queensland and then resprayed it a different color.
Ooh, okay.
Look, I think he's taken some inspiration from the Gerg himself, and yeah, it looks pretty similar. So
Okay.
doesn't look as
Interesting.
doesn't look as bent though. So maybe he didn't. So
WiseFab? Is he running WiseFab? I hope he's running WiseFab.
is he running WiseFab? Nah, I don't think so. Don't think he's running the WiseFabs. He's not pro enough yet for that. He'll stick to beating up kids at local drift comps.
Okay. Well,
But I heard he might do a full pull of Drift All Stars next year.
really?
Yeah, but he's hoping they'll add another class because he was just like, well, I can't do Pro Am because I'm too good for that. And then he's like, well, what's his Pro all about? I think I'm already too good for that. So he's actually asked for an All Star event just for him. Um, so yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's got that championship wrapped up already. So he might not end up actually having to drive. So we'll see what happens. Might interview him on the weekend.
Maybe. Oh
Try.
yeah. So I think so. I have a plan to try and do a live stream, and hopefully, like I want to get a spot where we can sort of do uh, look at on track stuff as well as have sort of interviews as well. So I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out, but we'll try and set it up. So we might, come out and hopefully, I have a feeling it's just going to be Greg that's going around and having a chat to people, and I'll try and manage that.
Sorry, mate. My car works. I ain't talking to
Oh,
anybody.
bullshit! You need a break.
Maybe if you can set up for Saturday, maybe because I like it's Wakefield. I'll get bored pretty quickly, but I don't know.
We'll just set
Especially.
aside like half an hour because I don't want to run. I don't want to stream that long either.
All right. Well, yeah. Considering the 10 minutes of time you streamed on the weekend, it didn't look like there was any cars on track. So,
Oh man, oh yeah, that's one thing I learned is my computer overheats, so I need to set up shade.
well, we throw plenty of
Oh,
shade.
and
We throw plenty of shade, mate. So
10 minutes of nothing. That was recovering Sebastian off the
off
concrete
the
wall.
wall.
Yeah, we should could have taken a camera down there.
Well, did you see? There was the other car that looked like it did a bloody kickflip off the
Yeah, that was like towards the end of the day. I saw, yeah, it's a spot where you normally can't see the cars from pit straight, but I saw him pop up and then back down, and I thought, oh, that's a big hit because you normally cannot see that part of the track. Well, you can normally not see a car on that part of the track, and you could clearly see him for that sort of moment that he was in the air.
Yeah, that looked fairly interesting. And then Sebastian did what I was expecting people to do on the first day that the Rev guys ran, but surprisingly nobody ended up parking it up on that wall. But your mate clearly managed to do it.
Yeah, it's a curse of the 180,
Yeah.
180s. He's lucky he didn't roll.
Um, just keeping an eye on the comments and Joe's wanting to know which one of Nick's islands he's joining us from tonight, whether it's his European mansion or his personal island in the Maldives. So hopefully there's no weather that impedes him from flying back to Australia this weekend for his own event.
Oh, and Josh Singles getting his car ready for me to drive as well.
Yeah, well, let's see which Red 180 ends up on its roof this time.
Yeah.
Let's see if Josh can do more than a lap without it
Falling
pinging off
apart.
its head. So,
Yeah.
there's a few big guys coming. I know there's a couple of guys from South Australia coming down or coming up. Christian Pickering's coming across, and then I know Luke's coming down with the 350 from Queensland. So it would have been good if it rained a little bit just to just to make Luke bloody cold and wet. So, but I think he'll be making the trek down on Friday. So it'll be good to have some interstate guys. I think maybe if I'm right, the Kamikaze guys might be coming down.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I'm not sure.
I know Hayden was trying to get a trailer for the weekend, so I think that would mean that it would be on their way down. So,
And then there's Zach Bogner from Victoria.
mate, Zach's basically a local now anyway. He drives anything that's within X distance of Victoria now, so I think he's got to be around as GK Tech product support. So,
Nick's just commented saying that Hayden's coming down.
yeah. So yeah, look, if you're in New South Wales and looking for a good time this weekend, definitely head down to Goulburn. I was going to say, hopefully people are fairly sensible on Saturday, so the cars are in one piece for Sunday. But it's Wakefield, and when trains get started, shit gets loose. So yeah, let's not make any promises. Let's see how many cars actually make it to the track on Sunday.
I think it'll be alright. I think a lot of people are pretty smart and they want to get to both of the tracks. No, you don't. Your face sort of says, "No, I don't believe you."
This is like saying, "Oh, everybody on the first day of a DCA event is going to be sensible."
Yeah, but so many people make it through the whole event.
Yeah, but still doesn't mean that there ain't going to be some fucked up shit.
And we'll just take a welder and an angle grinder. You'll be right.
Yeah, we'll just get Connor on it.
Yeah, actually, he's not going to be there.
Everybody just drive back to Canberra and get their shit fixed by Connor.
He's not going to make it. Actually, probably won't even turn up until halfway through Sunday.
Rude. Nah, letting the Honda fanboys down there. So
yeah, I heard there's a lot of people coming out to watch Connor, but they're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
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 What else? I don't know.
No.
I don't really. I didn't really have much, and even though we haven't been on for a few weeks,
things have been fairly slow. I can't even remember if we discussed FD's new.
Oh, they got new
calendar
rules announced as well.
Oh yeah, there's some new rules, some weird ones. But
I don't get it because I don't even know what the difference is. Because I don't follow it that closely.
Yeah, I'll go through some of them, and they're a bit weird. Some of them make sense. Vehicles not equipped with transaxles can't convert to one. So, like where your transmission is directly mounted to your diff instead of through a tail shaft.
That's for like changing weight distribution, isn't it? They're just trying.
Yeah, well, and because that's what a Corvette comes with from factory. But then if your car comes equipped with a transaxle, you can separate it and run a diff and a gearbox if you want to do that conversion. And I think that's a cost cutting thing. I know V8 supercars moved to a transaxle setup, but I think that was weight distribution plus they were getting them bought in massive lots for the whole field. So financially it made sense. But considering, in FD the field all runs all sorts of different stuff, and because their rules got a little bit more strict with, a car's got to at least be an all-wheel drive format to be allowed to convert to just rear drive. You can't run a front drive car that's been converted to rear drive in FD anymore. There's only
couldn't do that.
No. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't run a front wheel drive converted to rear drive. It's got to at least have a variant.
All-wheel drive, yeah.
A variant that comes out in all-wheel drive, which is how they got away with the Corolla for Osmo.
Yeah, and then I think even that car they still had to modify, which was against the rules, but they got an exception because it wasn't. It was in the spirit of the. Yeah. So they weren't doing it to gain advantage; they're just doing it for axle clearance.
Yeah, potentially something like that. So, It'll be interesting to see long term if they go away from that front wheel drive rule, considering. Yeah, I think they'll make some changes in the next few years just because there's less and less coming out rear drive. So they've done that rule so if people want to use a Corvette as as a format, then they can sort of transplant anything into it rather than having to keep the torque tube and all that. And I would imagine, I don't know if you saw anything from Matt Field, but he said like a clutch out job in that car was like hours
No, I didn't see. Why would it be hours?
because you've got to pull you've got to be able to pull the whole gearbox. You've got to pull the torque tube first to be able to pull the gearbox off the diff, and all that sort of stuff. But then I don't know if the clutch is still
I thought the clutch is still near
still at
the
the
engine.
it's still at the motor. So, but you still got to pull the whole gearbox and torque tube out to be able to get it. So you've got the mounting to the back of the motor like a normal
Yeah.
gearbox change, plus you've got the mounting to the diff. So, and I'm not sure if they run if all the oil's in the same.
Oh, with the diff.
Yeah. So if you've got to drain that, that's like liters and liters of shit to come out. So I don't know. I might be like I don't know. I've never looked into it, but yeah, it sounds like a gearbox, and either a gearbox change or a clutch change on those cars is a couple of hours. So I think that's why they're giving the option if people with those sort of cars want to change that they can. It's interesting that they've made it so the passenger footwell now has to be completely unobstructed because that's where a lot of guys used to run NOS bottles and their ice boxes for their cool suits, and I think that was a way of doing weight distribution in the car as well. But I would imagine it's potentially for safety when they're running passenger laps and stuff like that. But yeah, that's another interesting rule. I'm imagining it's for safety when they're running promo stuff, and potentially to stop anything extra from flying and hitting drivers. But yeah, I'm not sure. In-car viewable cameras are prohibited, but I think that means like if you can see a
Live,
GoPro.
isn't it?
No, just it says in-car viewable cameras are prohibited. So
Well, I read that as like a live feed rather than something that you can review afterwards.
no, I think it's more that the GoPro can't be sitting in a spot that the TV cameras or something can pick up. I don't know. Or maybe
I
it is.
thought, yeah, I
Maybe it
thought
is live streamed.
I thought it's more to do with live streaming or live telemetry or something like that. I don't know what the
Reason is?
no if yeah I have no idea. I don't know where it could be just like a business side of things.
Well, that's how it used to be. You used to only be allowed to run cameras in your car and all that on the outside during practice on the first day, and then during qualifying you could run like an in-car camera that was visible for quali, but you couldn't run ones on the outside. And then once the competition started, you couldn't run like a face-mounted camera and a few other things. So yeah, not sure.
Yeah.
Every car has to have basically a comms port for the judges to be able to plug a device in for CAN, which makes sense. Relocation of where the master cutoff is, I think, just to streamline it so track officials know where they all are. Wing end plates and standoff sizes being restricted. Well, you can't run wings on any track with walls anymore anyway. They basically banned wings from cars on the tracks that you could rub a wing against the wall. So that rule just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why not just ban wings altogether, really?
Yeah.
And then the mounting point stuff for the seats seems a bit weird. I wonder if there's been some full janky shit. It just says all seats must be mounted to manufacturer specifications. So I'm guessing that means like the size of the plates that you sort of sandwich into the body or weld to the body has to probably be similar size to the factory mounting points
I think it's they must have had issues trying
with
to
people to
assess it. So
yeah
if people put in their own sort of mounting
janky
points,
mounts.
yeah, then you would know how much of quality that they would be actually attaching it to that. I think there
Yeah,
was a comment somewhere saying that it's just easier to manage for the staff. Like if they just use the factory points, then they can understand. Yeah,
yeah, but like
this should
yeah,
be this standard already. So
but I couldn't put a wide Sparco seat in an S chassis and be in a comfortable position. Like it's just not going to happen. So, and then for the left-hand drive cars, S chassis are allowed to cut out the cat hump, which is in the in a right-hand drive car is in the passenger footwell, but in a left-hand drive car, it's driver's side, so you can
yeah,
cut that out to flatten your floor out. But that also would remove that factory mount point. So, because the passenger one sits up on that hump. So, I don't know. I would imagine some of those rules have come in based around Pro 2 builds, but then uh, the basically the communication with the ECU for telemetry, I would imagine, is them looking at devices that they can potentially plug in and have transmitting directly to judges in case they need to find out throttle position and brake and all that sort of stuff during a run. The only other one that I missed was uh, SFI approved bell housings and shifter blankets. So the shifter blanket thing for me makes sense because a lot of people end up running the tunnel just open to the car, and if there's a fire or anything like that, it'll come through that hole. So it's not the greatest idea.
yeah.
The bell housing thing, I don't know. It's fairly interesting because a lot of guys would be running who are running JZs would be running auto bell housings. Uh, would be running auto JZ bell housings for their conversions. So uh, just not sure how one that's manufactured would be all that much stronger than that. And the fact that they haven't actually had a clutch disc explode in FD. So you think you could just run a normal, any sort of bell housing you like, and then just run a blanket like they do with drag
Racing.
cars.
Yeah.
Would probably be almost a cheaper option, but I don't know. Probably even safer because there's nothing to say that a big clutch isn't going to come through a
Yeah.
SFI approved
Yeah.
bell housing anyway, or at least a blanket's got more chance of catching it. So I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Hey,
Uh,
whatever happened to the electric car?
so they pulled it out halfway through the season to do more work to it because they knew it just didn't have the guts to keep up.
Okay.
They got it out there, saw what it was doing, and then they were like, all right,
It's not going to happen.
let's let's try
What if they
this.
put a clutch in it?
Yeah, like, or even if you could do it still as a switch.
And I still think it needs to be a mass that's spinning.
Yeah, potentially.
I don't know how they can incorporate that with all the Tesla gear, but
Well,
I think it needs to be. I think there needs to be a clutch, and like I don't need a gearbox, but I think they need a clutch.
yeah, some way of just getting it to free spin up. So when you,
Yeah.
I just don't think people realize, that the idea of that jolt that it gets from the motor spinning faster than the wheels for that fraction of a second can do so much to help unsettle a car rather than trying to press press the accelerator and hope that it'll do what you want it to do. Because how is that electric motor any different to say a 2000 horsepower drag car or something? Like, yeah, as soon as you press, but like I mean more from the point of view you can press that accelerator really hard and you hope that it's going to break traction, but at least with a clutch dump, you know that your motor's spinning faster than the wheels, and that should make it break traction rather than being at the mercy of how much grip you actually manage to get.
No, I get what you mean, but um, with with that fully charged batteries, instant torque,
Oh,
like
of course, but that's instant. That's not guaranteed traction loss. That still might push the car forward.
yeah, but you'd still know. That's why I listened to the to some of the Maximum Driftcast things about when is it Travis
Yeah,
Reeder? Yeah, he
yeah.
went on and they were talking about Kevin. Is it Kevin Lawrence or Kevin? No, Kevin
Kevin Wells,
Wells.
the
Kevin Wells.
technical
Yeah,
director.
yeah, and even like Kevin Wells's interview that he did on there. I don't think he understands how an electric car works, and I don't know how he's making up the rules for this. And I think it's probably he. The only reason that it sort of worked was because those guys making the electric car didn't understand drifting. So
Yeah,
they sort of they didn't each side didn't know about each subject, and they just sort of managed to make it all so it's
but I guess
not ridiculous. But
but I guess the risk you take too, if he was super educated on it, but nobody can really be fully educated on it because the reality is there's no, there's not a whole lot of data and nobody's, I think there's a handful of cars out there now, and that's, well, not even a handful of cars, but a few cars out there that are running different sort of setups. You have to give them some freedom to develop, and even if it becomes an advantage in some ways,
yeah,
you can then pull it back from them. But you'll never find that happy medium without proper freedom, I guess.
yeah,
Um, you've got to push past the limits more so to then be able to pull it back than keep spending money trying to like bump it up ever so slightly, bump it up ever so slightly, bump it up ever so slightly. You're better off going past it and then coming back from it. Well, I think you're
yeah.
better off going past it and coming back from it. So
No, I think it's good because then they innovate. But then the problem was that, oh, the problem I see is they didn't take advantage of what they had, and so they can still be, the electric car can still be, I think, used to get an advantage out of the competition.
yeah, of course, but the disadvantage you always had is the unknowns for the longest time.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're just and the fact that they don't have the best of the best drivers. They have a really good driver driving it,
yeah,
but um, but a driver who's also got to learn a different skill set. So um, learn to drive without noise and do all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
but I think there's supposed to be a revised version of it coming out next year. So
yeah. Cool. I hope they've
um,
got a
I
clutch in it or something like it.
I also believe Josh Robinson's building a 350 for FD Pro.
Oh, really? So he's actually
Yeah,
moving up.
I think so. That's what it sounds like's happening. So, and I think that's purely because it's easier to get 350 shit over there than to keep trying to use the Ute. Even though the Ute would probably be pretty fucking magical over there on the big tires that he'd be allowed to run, but um, just the fact that FD's worse than a DCA when it comes to wrecking cars. So it's probably easier to make sure he's got parts and all that on a car that there's a production line for things rather than continuing to blow a shitload of money on custom stuff. So
Yeah. That's with the he was talking about some crazy V12 as well on Instagram. I
was he? I
saw.
haven't.
I think it's a V12. It's some more than a
Oh,
V8. I don't know if it's for that car, but I saw.
oh, was it the silly like V12 LS thing or whatever it was? Like
Yeah,
still
is
like
that what's going in?
uh, maybe I'm not sure.
Okay.
The fact that it's like a pushrod V12, like just a longer
Yeah,
LS. Yeah,
longer
I'm not.
LS. Like the
It,
yeah,
it'd be cool. It'd be cool if they did something like that, but I'm not sure if that was 4 extra cylinders. You'd be pushing it to fit in that car, especially if it was like 6 liters of V8. Fuck, it'd be a big motor. I don't know. Um,
That's right. Daigo's coming back as well.
um, somebody's just said Josh's ute is too long and too heavy for Pro 1. He would need to run 320 tyres to help. But he ran only two 55s because that was the tyre restriction in Pro 2, and he didn't seem to have too much trouble. So, and that was with the fact that you had to run a minimum weight, but I think he might have still been well above that weight. But yeah, interesting to see that that's why, but I would imagine availability of parts would make a huge difference. Daigo sounds like he's making a return. Uh, he's driving a sorry, I'm just reading through comments.
His driving 86. It's from someone says it's from Australia.
Yeah, it's got a V8 supercars sticker down on the back corner of it. So it was in the 86 series here, and I would imagine he's done that. He's found with the backing of Toyotas galore. The fact that it's already got a cage in it that I'm guessing will be approved for FD just means all he's got to do is probably got a bunch of parts already on the way from HGK, probably end up carbon Kevlar everything and pretty much just a bolt-on HGK package, I would imagine, with a 2J.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
like, I would imagine that's pretty much what the go would be, because I'm pretty sure you can basically just buy everything, including interior parts, from HGK, and then if he needs to, he'll probably add some more whatever bar work needs to be done in the front and the back to get it to whatever weight he needs for the category or for the tire size that he'll run. So
Is it? It's not being built here though, is it? It's in Japan.
no, it's at his workshop. So the car will have gone
Okay.
from Australia to Japan to the US.
And it's got to go to the US.
Yeah, plenty of time. Season doesn't start up till April, so and there's a really good video that the Aaron Losey from Lone Star Drift put up a couple of days ago where he was over in Japan for Matsuri and went to Fat 5 racing, and Robin Nishida did a bit of a walk around and talk and all that, and it sounded like whenever Daigo's plan is to go to the US that those cars end up being built in about a 2 to 4 week period, so just short turnover time. So I would imagine, as I said, that there's probably a container full of parts coming from HGK and then but I think it sounds like with Daigo the relationship with Toyota has gone a whole lot bigger than what was originally planned, but that's ended up being why he's I think he's supposed to have 3 Corvettes, and one of the Corvettes has been put massively on the back burner, so just because of the relationship with Toyota now. But yeah, if you've got an hour to watch a Aaron Losey video, the one at Daigo Shops is a fairly interesting one if you're a bit of a Daigo fan. So, and I'm sure Jai already has all that information firsthand from Daigo, any of that stuff, because they're good mates. Maybe he could give Rob a job over in Japan now that Port Macquarie is the way Port Macquarie is.
Yeah.
They're good mates. So
yeah.
maybe you could hook a brother up.
I haven't heard from Rob in a little while.
So yeah, and I think the Daigo thing, as much as I think people would still question whether or not he's going to be there, I actually saw that there was a comment on Instagram a few days beforehand, somebody being like, I've heard firsthand from another pro guy that Daigo will be back at FD in an 8.6, and then it was a couple of days later that post came up. So
yeah, that'd be interesting. I wonder how it'd go now because he came in last time with a huge advantage. I think he sort of he came in and he did a lot of unexpected things.
Well, I'm
for the
not sure.
field.
I also think that was when he came in was when Achilles first came in. I might be wrong, but it's when Achilles first came in, and it was the stickiest tire that out of any of the tires that they run there. The reason I think that tire's been able to stick around is the fact that it's not stupidly deep tread like some of the others, and he was able to, those tires, if he blew them off too badly, would end up with no grip at the end of their tire life, where other tires that were a little bit harder sort of had a longer tire life. So, but the fact that he was the first one to come in with retarded amount of power and a retarded amount of grip, I think was a bit of a trigger to some people to start doing what happened. But yeah, I don't think he's going to go in there and set the world on fire like a lot of people are expecting. I think there's going to be a lot of broken parts, and that's probably why there's a 8.6 happening rather than a Supra, because there's a lot of walls at FD, and Daigo likes to hit walls. So
Well, the Supra is a limited run, isn't it? So they're not making the same amount as the 8.6, which is like car
well,
after car every 5 minutes.
yeah, and I guess the 8.6 is still for sale brand new as well. So
And then I think they probably get, they as in Toyota, probably get more money, like business, out of the 8.6 rather than the Supra. That's
yeah,
probably why the Supra isn't as appealing. And that's what they were saying about the Corolla that Aspo
yeah,
runs. That's way more popular than a Supra or an 8.6 even, I think.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
because
why, yeah,
yeah,
it was a better business move.
yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see if FD will move away from that all drive only conversion type thing, because of the fact that the guy who was driving the S2000 built that Civic that went to SEMA. It's just a demo car, but the rear cradle and all that aren't FD legal. Um, but something like that is just, it is cool, and you'd hope that
Did that
you'd.
actually run?
Did they end up? I don't know if it ended up driving it, because they have SEMA
Uh,
Ignites, which is like an FD show at SEMA on the after the last night or whatever, and I don't know if it did end up running, but it will be running. Uh, so, but definitely a cool build, but yeah, definitely not FD legal at this stage. So
Hmm.
it just, I think it'll come down to what the car manufacturers are doing moving forward, because you want that a bit of versatility in variety in the field. So yeah, but again, we don't get to see any of that shit until I think like April.
Yeah,
Where
I don't know. I don't even know when their season starts. It seems to be on. I seem to ignore it, and then it's finished.
first weekend in April, 5 and 6. I know one of Daigo's A90s is being built for Russia,
No, it's already gone to Russia, or another
or
one.
already gone. Yeah, yeah. Well, was being built for Russia. The second car was built for Russia.
No, the first car was Russia.
Yeah, or whichever. But one of them was for. Well, which car did he wreck at Autopolis? The second car.
Autopolis is the second car.
Yeah, Jesus.
The first
Um,
car was the one that caught on fire at a diver,
yeah, yeah,
and that's a car that I don't think that was actually D1 legal. So that was always intending to go to Russia.
to Russia.
Yeah.
The rules are a little bit more open. Well, they used to be a little bit more open. I know that's changed a bit. So, um, but yeah, we're definitely in a bit of a dirt patch now. I caught up with Michael Solomon last Thursday night. He was down in, or not really in Sydney, but on the outskirts of Sydney, and wanted to get off base for a few hours. So I caught up with him and got a bit of a rundown on what went down with round 2 of the drifting SA stuff, because that round ended up getting cancelled by the track who owns the Bend End Malala and was running that series, and he said that typical South Australia has the problem of everybody entering last minute or on the day.
Yeah.
So the track ended up, even before the early bird entries had finished, was like, nah, we don't have enough entries. We're going to pull the pin. And then Stewie and the guys from Drifting SA stepped up and rented the track for one day and managed to run the comp in a day. So that was always the plan for the relationship between the track and the committee, was that eventually, they could just rent the track and run the series themselves. It just meant that they didn't have to take the risk. It's just happened a lot earlier in the piece than what was originally planned, and it meant not as many days of having the track and all that sort of stuff. But they also do some weird shit down there, like the fact that the track same people own both tracks, and they ran a fucking Friday or a Saturday night event at Malala the same weekend as their drift comp.
Yeah.
Like, how does that make any sense?
I think Mal is a tiny bit closer than the Bend, so yeah, I think.
Yeah, but it still just doesn't make sense to cut into your own market. Like, you could put it on the week before, the week after, whatever, and it would even make a slight difference to your numbers. So yeah, the guys from Drifting SA stepped up, made that happen, and a few really good companies who seem to always jump in and help make events happen in South Australia continued to step up and make that event happen. So it comes without some of the bells and whistles that they were able to do previously with the 3 days at the track and all that. But it looked like those guys did a good job, and I think they now call Stewie president. He keeps denying it, supposedly, that he's not in a position to be president, even though he does basically all the jobs that the president would be doing. So I believe his new nickname is now Prez. So
Who was Aussie was running it before, wasn't he?
no, and he still is, but
Yeah.
Stewie takes the burden of the responsibility on a lot of it. So
Yeah.
yes, they just started calling him Prez instead,
Okay.
even though he claimed he never would. So
Got a little bit off topic one. Did you see the Cybertruck?
I did. I haven't looked into it that much. Still haven't established whether or not it's a proper troll and it's never happening, or if it's like real.
Okay, so you still.
Well, I haven't done enough research. I believe it's a troll. Like
Okay.
the fact that the window broke and all that sort of stuff. Like, Elon Musk is not a dumb fuck. Like, if the window's going to break on stage because they threw a ball at it, I'm pretty sure it was meant to break.
Yeah.
Did your dog just fart?
No, she yawned or something.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Well, she's yawning now, so.
Sounded like a fart through the microphone. So
No, I think maybe an insect might have gone in her mouth, and because she's chewing on something at the moment.
So do you think is it a troll or is it not a troll?
I hope it's not a troll, because I think it's freaking cool.
Yeah. Well, but do you think the window would have broken without it being intentional?
Yeah. So he's pretty switched on. I don't know, like going for the second window. I thought when they did that, I thought that was not intentional, but yeah, because they don't really need to do it once to make a point. But
Yeah, but a bulletproof glass generally will take a couple of bullets before it fully shits itself,
it's not bulletproof, I don't think.
or whatever it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's bulletproof.
Um, so
I think I think it's meant to be bullet resistant, because there's no way like bulletproof glass is
thick.
yeah. I think it's
Yeah,
just
but
meant to be super strong, and then he was testing out shooting the panels with a 9mm, and that's where it just sort of indented a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think the whole thing's potentially a massive troll because, yeah, I don't know. And it looks pretty shit.
It ran. It looks like
Of course it ran. You could put whatever body you want on any sort of frame and just shove the motors in the back and a
in the
battery
front.
system
Yeah,
and
just
like
the
and
same
just
layout. But I think
yeah, like it's
from
not.
what other people have analyzed, like how they set up the tray, and then it's like it has the sort of mounting points that they use in different industries. I don't know. It seems kind of thought out, and
Well, that's why I also don't think that the glass would have done what it did without it being
yeah,
semi-intentional.
yeah. It seems like it was too convenient that it broke. The
Did you
first one,
see?
anyway.
Did you see that wind? Like the pictures of
Yeah,
the wind tunnel thing, and it's like at
yeah.
65 like 65 miles an hour. Sorry, so highway speed in the US that it gives 88 miles an hour of um, airspeed or whatever over the back of the car, and they're like, oh, I wonder if that's a troll as well, like as a Back to the Future reference. So
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It
Yeah,
sounds cool. It's 1,000 kilometer range. I'm kind of curious to see how they actually, if it does that, then how that actually sort of manage people's expectations, because a lot of people would want to tow a lot of things with it,
look, if it
a long distance. So
does 1,000 doesn't get you to Brisbane from here though, does it?
no, it
From Sydney?
doesn't. It's not 1,000. It's just under 1,000. It's like 900 kilometers. But that's probably with no load or no anything. Because I reckon if you're towing a couple of ton, then you're probably 2/3 of that distance.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you could put it in self-driving mode, uh, and then go to sleep, it's probably not that bad if it knows how to react to a trailer doing all sorts of retarded shit. So
Like swaying.
yeah, I would imagine
Well,
it's good enough
new
to drive
cars
around
like
it.
my car has sway control, like whatever it's just active braking. So
Yeah, yeah.
when it does start swaying, then the car will actually brake left and right to try and to stop
Bring
the
it under
sway.
control.
Yeah, but then like caravans, like the huge, massive caravans that the Grey Nomad sort of pull, they have um, when they have electric brakes, they have a brake controller on there as well to stop it from swaying. So as soon as it starts swaying, then it'll actively like slow down one wheel at a time instead.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking like if what I'd hope is they do it like what they did the Tesla trucks, what they were planning to do with those and hot swappable batteries. Maybe not all the batteries, but like say like a bank of batteries maybe that you can sort of hot swap on the trip up.
At like a battery exchange place.
Yeah, like just like a charging spot. So all you would do is, I guess you would.
But would you want to
Uh,
get some fuckwits batteries that have been like flogged and only last like, 15% of what they're supposed to when they're at the end of their lifespan?
yeah, well, that's why they're normally pretty smart. So they would have. I'd imagine that they would have circuitry on them to say, how many cycles it's done, and that they'd be able to estimate the capacity of the battery. And because they're just hot swappable, then as soon as you reach a limit of hot swapping, then you'd expect the manufacturer to change the battery pack to like a new one, right? And then maybe distribute it to somewhere else where they can, I don't know what they can do with the batteries, but so yeah, they would be responsible for the quality of the battery that's given to you.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so then all you have to do, like, so you wouldn't have to sit there and wait to charge for an hour and a half. You just have to hot swap it, and then like just filling up the car. Maybe it might take you 5 minutes. Swap the batteries over, and then off you go for another 500 k's, and then you swap the batteries over again.
Yeah. But I wonder also if they're using that as just that car itself is, or that design itself as just a sort of a base to build off. So the car actually looks like isn't really a big deal, but it's more about what it means.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they can always change the shape of it,
Yeah, like
and
that's the
it's
easy. Especially like you're not trying to fit a particular motor in or anything like that. I don't even know. You've probably got more idea than me. Are the batteries underneath it, or are the batteries in the front? Or is it the same as a normal
uh,
Tesla with the batteries underneath it? Because if the batteries are underneath it, you can put whatever the fuck you want on top.
it sounds like that thing is very prototype still. So by the time it actually gets in production, it might be dramatically different.
Well,
So
so like the shutterproof glass and all that sort of stuff really is super irrelevant shit. Like it's the tech.
you're in America though. Come on, America, they're like one of the most violent countries in the world.
No, I understand that, but I mean like that's not necessarily the actual selling point of what the whole thing means.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
But
God, there's some weird, ugly concepts coming out of
oh my
like
god,
things
did
to
you
do
see
with
the?
it.
Did you see the Rocket Bunny version? I think it's the Rocket Bunny version of
I haven't seen it.
it. Looks weird.
I haven't followed that closely.
Uh,
Nah, looking at it more and more, like it looks like it's more about the tech and what it all means rather than
it's publicity. It's shocking. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
got
And
like everyone's talking about it or has seen it, even if they don't want to talk about it. It's in their face.
I'm not even sure if like the headlights and the running lights would actually be compliant of
Yeah, like
most.
countries, regs.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like I understand there's lights on it and it's like those really skinny ones, but yeah, I'm not sure they would necessarily meet most country standards yet. So
Well, I think in Australia, you're not allowed to have a light in the center. Like you have to have a brake to define the middle of the car.
really,
Yeah, so you cannot have a center light. Well, in ACT, maybe not Australia, but in ACT, you cannot have a center light. You have to have as driving lights.
yeah, I get ya.
You have to
So,
have a left and a right with
so
a
you can
brake.
define
Yeah.
the sides of the car sort of thing.
Um, I don't know the reasoning, but yeah, and then but like you can have like almost the whole length, but it has to be a break in the middle.
Yeah,
So
That's definitely not the rules in the US because um, Dodge
there was,
Challenger and all that have lights
yeah.
that go the whole way across the back. So
Oh no, this is on the front. On the back is fine because you have center brake light. But
yeah, but
then
there's still generally a brake in pretty much every car like that is on Australian roads, or I think a brake in the lights between the lights. So
yeah, and then I was reading in some states in America you have to have mirrors. Like you cannot have there's a Mercedes or something that has um, cameras and a screen for the side mirrors, but I think you're not allowed to have that. It has to be actually mirrors.
yeah, because I guess at this stage there's no proof to the cops and stuff that it's working properly, where at least a mirror is always there and a functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be. I would imagine it's more of a tech thing, and looking at it like it's not really a pickup truck because how do you put anything in the back of it when it's
Man, the ramp comes down. Did you see
closed?
that? That was cool. Like the tailgate
Uh,
comes down and it rolls out and you can actually walk up. That's pretty cool.
yeah, we'll wait and see what comes of it.
You could.
I would
I'm wondering if they could actually fit a cappuccino on the back of it.
yeah, let's get the electric car that will drive us halfway across the country and then carry around a little shitty petrol powered
Cappuccino.
car. So
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, it's definitely exciting, but
yeah.
we wait and see. Uh, anything else you really want to cover, or are we going to keep this short tonight? Because I don't think, yeah, there's definitely hasn't been a huge amount going on.
No, not really. We got Revo this weekend.
Yeah,
You're all packed and ready to go, aren't you?
yeah, pretty much. Just gotta. Oh, I found some issues with the trailer, so I'll see if I try and fix that before I head down, or try and fix it after I get back
Uh,
home.
do you have a winch fitted to your trailer?
No.
Okay. Because
Why?
did you see all the stuff? Apparently,
Ah.
people are speculating because I don't even know what the rules are for New South Wales. They had some sort of blitz on in New South Wales for people towing cars. I think the biggest thing was when they were saying it was for business, so they were picking up scrap, or they
Yeah.
were picking up or cars, trucks, or whatever for the bosses, and they didn't have a license to tow, and apparently, they didn't have a license to tow. They're running a business without like a tow business, whatever that means.
I don't even
And
think it. Yeah, might even be just even towing like that in general for business because I have mates who run a wrecking yard and I don't think they tow using um, their trailer anymore because they used to pick up cars from the auctions, but I think they end up getting it done by tow truck now.
yeah,
So
well, this was even on a tow truck, but they're having issues. But apparently, if you have a winch, because they made a point of it in a post,
yeah, in that post, yeah, I still
yeah,
don't think that
then it classes you as a tow truck or tow
yeah, but I think
vehicle.
but I'm pretty sure if you have an unregistered car on the back and it looks like a race car and you say I fuck my shit up a lot,
Yeah,
then they're probably going to be like, yeah, no worries.
yeah.
So no, I
I
wouldn't be
don't know.
too. I wouldn't be too worried on it, to be honest.
Government, they're trying to gain as much money as they can.
Yeah, because they killed every aftermarket industry and every other. Nobody wants to spend money on anything anymore, and they can't tax shit. So what they do instead is fine you for lifestyle choices, so that they can collect more money because they killed every other industry in the country.
Yep.
Pretty much. So, um, yeah. So we'll be out at down at Wakefield on Saturday. We're all in on Sunday. We'll Age is going to try and get a live stream going. I guess he's volunteering me to do some talking to some people, but we can see who we can get hold of. I'm sure Fink will be more than happy to talk. Maybe we can get some more info out of him before he heads stateside. And then yeah, we'll see who else is around and worth talking to.
Oh, wow, there's heaps of cool guys coming.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we want to talk to them.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this one up here, and because fuck the 6 people who are still watching. 2 of those being us. One of them
Yeah,
being Jake.
I saw the numbers drop off as soon as we started talking about the Cybertruck, so that's probably a bad thing.
Nah, all good. And yeah, we might catch up next week. We'll see how the weekend goes, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do. Quiet time, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's not much happening. Have you? Yeah, I guess we'll do like some sort of wrap up and for the year and something to do about what we're gonna be up to next year, maybe possibly what we know of.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool. That's it.
Yep,
All right. Okay. Well, we'll close this one off,
yep.
and we'll see you guys on the weekend, hopefully, or otherwise next week if we do a show. Like we've been really bad not doing shows, but
I literally only set up my computer over the weekend, so
okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Peace.